of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of quality of goodness.
Okay, so we know about the Gunavatas, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and these are especially for the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a nice analogy here, almost towards the end, and he says that when Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, appears in the material world, he comes to deliver the conditioned living beings who are under the material energy. Such living beings appear in the material world with intentions of being lords, and thus they become entrapped by the three modes of nature. As such, the living entities have to change their material coverings for undergoing different terms of imprisonment. The prison house of the material world is created by Brahma under instruction of the personality of Godhead, and at the conclusion of a kalpa, the whole thing is destroyed by Shiva. But as far as the maintenance of the prison house is concerned, it is done by Vishnu, as much as the state prison house is maintained by the state. Anyone, therefore, who wishes to get out of this prison house of material existence, which is full of miseries like repetition of birth, death, disease, and old age, must please Lord Vishnu for such liberation. And Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only, and if anyone has to continue prison life in the material world, he may ask for relative facilities for temporary relief from different demigods. Okay, so by asking different facilities from the demigods, one continues to remain in this prison house of the material world, and if one wants to get out, then the solution is to perform devotional service to Lord Vishnu. Also, we find in the 7th chapter of the Gita, 7th chapter, 12th verse, Lord Krishna is speaking of how he is the cause, he is the source of the three modes, but he himself is unaffected by the three modes. So, even though all these are the various gunavataras of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord may be controlling the material energy, but he himself is unaffected by the material modes. And the example is given in later on in the first canto in connection to the Ashwatthama pastime. How when Ashwatthama was bound by the ropes by Arjuna and brought before Krishna, Arjuna, Bhima, and all these personalities, at that time, both Krishna and Arjuna, both of them were extremely angry seeing Ashwatthama for his heinous crime. But there was a difference. What was the difference? Huh? Yes, copper balls. Yes, so that was the difference. So Prabhupada there concludes that shows that Krishna is not influenced by the three modes. The next verse is giving an analogy to show the relative positions of the three modes. And he says, Parthiva dharuno dhumas tasmadagnas trayimayah tamasastu rajastasmat sattvam yad brahma darshanam.
Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth.
Yes, so tamas is lowest, because one is in ignorance, as Prabhupada writes, uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, controlled by the mode of tamas. The civilized life of man with passion for various types of material benefits is the stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture with moral and ethical principles. Okay, so that's how even rajas is slightly beneficial, because one is active, one may take part in some activities which could result in slight elevation on the path of transcendence, but ultimately the mode of sattva is still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. In other words, there's a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods as well as the respective results derived from the predominant deities Brahma, Vishnu and Hara. But then he, after the, so by this analogy he has shown that Sattva Guna is highest. So there are the three modes controlled by the three presiding deities, but Sattva Guna is the highest because that is what is most conducive to come to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. And so therefore, Srila Prabhupada often mentioned that how it's very essential for us to lead a life of Sattva Guna because that is what is conducive to coming to Shuddha Sattva. And therefore Srila Prabhupada established the four regulative principles and the lifestyle for a devotee, which is essentially in the mode of goodness. And to the degree we follow these principles, then to that degree it becomes easier for one to give up the lower modes of Rajas and Tamas and rise to the higher stages. 25. Bejare manayothagre bhagavantam adokshajam sattvam vishuddham kshemaya kalpante ye nutaniha.
Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the three modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world.
So therefore, understanding the great benefits of Sattva Guna, and then higher than Sattva Guna is of course Shuddha Sattva, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So many Munaya, so many sages of the past, they have worshipped the Supreme Lord who is Vishuddham, who is totally on the transcendental platform, and thus they derive great benefit, and whoever follows such great authorities also becomes eligible. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. Therefore Prabhupada writes that point. Laws of religion, therefore, are directly enacted by the personality of Godhead, and except for the Mahajans or the authorized agents of the Lord, no one knows the purpose of religion. So, dharma remains hidden within the hearts of the Mahajans, and so therefore it's only by following them one can actually understand. 26. Mumukshavo ghora rupan hitva bhuta patinatha narayana kalashanta bhajanti anasuyavaha.
Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all, yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions.
Okay, so ghora rupan. So the forms of the demigods have been described as horrible, ghastly. And so therefore, those who are mumukshava, those who are desiring liberation, then they don't worship the demigods, but then they worship Narayan. They worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his various expansions, plenary portions. They are ghastly, isn't it? Durga, she looks good? That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. So you see, yes, he writes the separated parts and parts in the different positions in the estimation of material power. Some of them are like Kala Bhairava, Shmashan Bhairava, Shani, Mahakali, Chandika. And these demigods are worshipped mostly by those who are in the lowest categories or more of darkness or ignorance. So, especially referring to them, Ghora Rupan. But then, yes, yeah. Yes, that's right. So then, we know, Prabhupada does write that those who are in the mode of passion, they usually worship Lord Brahma, and those who are in the mode of goodness, they worship Vishnu and other devatas. So, based upon the modes, then they worship different devatas.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can you just 23 to, like when we are progressing one line about why we are progressing to next translation, some one line if you
So basically here the whole sequence of shlokas is is he's speaking about demigod worship. So first of all, he spoke about the worship of the Supreme Lords and Bhakti, and then he speaks about the Gunavataras, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, and now he's speaking about the worship of the other devatas. So that's how he is, and he's speaking about the worship of the other devatas to compare the worship of the other devatas in comparison to the worship of the Supreme Lord as has been described in the previous verses. Okay, so he's establishing that comparison. And therefore, towards the end of the purport, he's writing, it is for this reason only that candidates for liberation deliberately reject the worship of the demigods, although they have no disrespect for any one of them. So the devatas, they respect the devotees respect the devatas, but they don't worship them. Just read the translation of the next verse.
27.
Yes.
Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny.
Okay, so Prabhupada is quoting from the 7th chapter of the Gita, famous verse, Kameis teiste ritagyana prapadyante anya devataha. Important line in the purport, Prabhupada writes, we should never desire to increase the depth of material enjoyment. Material enjoyment should be accepted only up to the point of bare necessities of life and not more or less than that. To accept more material enjoyment means to bind oneself more and more to the miseries of material existence. More wealth, more women, and false aristocracy are some of the demands of the materially disposed man because he has no information of the benefit derived from Vishnu worship. Next paragraph he writes, one should work hard and worship the Supreme Lord by the fruits of one's hard labor for existence, and that should be the motto of life. And so therefore, the ultimate goal should be worship of the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord is the ultimate beneficiary for all types of activities. And therefore, finally he is saying, Vasudeva paraveda, Vasudeva paramakaha, Vasudeva parayoga, Vasudeva parakriyaha, Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapaha, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragati.
In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. Yoga is for realizing Him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know Him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life.
Okay, so here Vasudev, the Supreme Lord, is said to be the goal of all these activities, whether it is the purpose of the Vedas, whether it is performance of sacrifice, yoga, activities, knowledge, austerity. Ultimately, the goal of everything should be the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada describes each of these activities in brief in his purports. And the last section of the chapter, he is speaking about the Purusha Avtaras, which of course he describes again in the next chapter. So we'll briefly go through this part, which is speaking about the the Purusha Avtaras. Sa evedam sasarjagre bhagavan atmamaya sadasadrupaya chaso gunamaya guno vibhuhu.
In the beginning of the material creation, that absolute personality of Godhead Vasudeva, in his transcendental position, created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy.
Okay. 31. Taya vilasiteshveshu guneshu gunavaniba anta pravishta abhati vijnanena vijrambitaha.
After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expand himself and enter into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appear to be one of the created beings, he is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position.
Okay, so here he is speaking about the Paramatma feature entering into the, the universes and into all the living beings. So he's speaking about the Paramatma feature. Prabhupada speaks about the two birds on the tree. 32. Yata yavahido vanir darushveka swayonishu naneva bhati vishvatma bhuteshu cha tatha puman.
God as super soul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second.
Okay, so he is giving an analogy. So just like there may be so many forms of wood, but essentially the fire element remains within all of them. That is the same. So similarly, so many forms of bodies, but essentially the jiva, soul and super soul remains the same in all the bodies. Prabhupada ends the purport with a very nice point, and he says, as fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process only. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot. So he's nicely comparing this, taking this analogy of the woods. So saying just like woods can be kindled by, the fire within woods can be kindled by another fire. So similarly, the divine consciousness, which is inherently present within all living entities, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoy, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karayo. So the divine consciousness is already inherently present, but it requires another divine personality to evoke or invoke that divine consciousness. And so therefore, following the instructions of those divine personalities is essential for that divine consciousness to be invoked. Asau gunamayer bhaver bhuta sukshmendriyatmabhi swanirmiteshu nirvishto bhunkte bhuteshu tadgunan.
The supersoul enters into the bodies of the created beings, who are influenced by the modes of material nature, and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind.
So it's the Paramatma who's present within the heart, and then he causes them to enjoy. So by the presence of the Supersoul, then the different bodies are received by the living entities, and then when the living entities receive different bodies, it is the Supersoul who gives them intelligence. Prabhupada speaks in his lectures. So it is the Supersoul who gives them intelligence. Now you're a dog, now you have to act like this, you have to bark like this, or in the body of a hog, Supersoul gives intelligence, now you have to eat stool, this is better than halwa. So all that intelligence is given by the Supersoul. So that's how the Supersoul is acting.
You told us that that once divine grace he evokes the that bhakti
divine consciousness
in another divine. So in our case, actually, how if we say that the guru he comes and he invokes. So actually, what is happening? Because in our case, generally the holy name is also given, and everything is done by our whoever the first person who comes in our life. He teaches everything to us.
Correct.
So what happens actually that? Can you please explain this?
Okay, so it is correct that there is some devotee who comes and gives us some instructions. We agree to follow them, and that's how our divine consciousness is revived. But then whoever it may be, ultimately, from where is he getting that knowledge? Yes, through parampara. So ultimately it is coming from the divine personalities, the great acharyas, and for us specifically within ISKCON, it is Srila Prabhupada, who has given the initial instructions, and everyone who's coming in parampara is simply repeating those instructions. And so therefore, anyone who is giving instructions is ultimately giving the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada. And so one is giving Srila Prabhupada's association, and that is how that divine consciousness is being invoked. Is that okay?
Question is that actually, see, for example, this Bhagavatam is, we were also studying, but when you started Bhakti Vaibhava course, actually we feel as if something new is happening, new thing is happening in our life. So similarly, in our life also, so it is there actually, we read everything, but another devotee, if he explains something, means extra, something is happening in our life, like that we feel.
Yeah,
Is it like that? Can we compare this with the other devotees? Other than Guru also, whoever comes, like Shiksha Gurus, they are coming and they are teaching us, that is also is the same thing?
Yeah, because ultimately all knowledge is coming from Srila Prabhupada, and it is the parampara's mercy that is coming down, that's all. And of course, maybe by the Bhakti Vaibhav course, it appears to be a little bit different, because maybe there is a little more focus and there is a more tangible goal.
Why I am asking, because in our temple, there are counselor system was there. So generally our Diksha Guru, they are not coming regularly, once in a year, or it may be very rare. But in that case, earlier we had counselor system, and we used to have our counselors. But what happened that we accepted one counselor, then because of some reason we changed that. Again, and every time it is changing. So whether we should, that is what I'm asking. So how it happens?
Okay. So as long as a person is simply repeating the instructions, question is not clear, so maybe you'll have to repeat your question.
Actually, in our life, what I was asking, there is Siksha Guru as well as Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru regularly is not visiting us. So that is why Shiksha Guru, he is the one who teaches us. So in our ISKCON Pune, we had counselor system. We used to follow our counselor, and whatever he says, we used to obey. For my example, I can openly say here. So my counselor was Mahavira Prabhu, and he only...
Mahavira Prabhu is there.
Yeah. he only brought me to Krishna consciousness. He gave me that bead bag and everything he gave. And one point of time he told me that now you are taking saffron and I will not be your counselor. So my counselor is Murari Prabhu. You also take counseling from Murari Prabhu. Actually there was no problem. Just he told me like that, and that is why I changed my counselor. Then Murari Prabhu somehow he, changed ashram. Then I accepted Balagovind Prabhu as my counselor. Then he also moved out. So then now question is, whom should I follow? That was the question.
So, yes, we'll correct. Hare Krishna, can we have everyone's attention, please? His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, when he was asked a similar question regarding, as we know, within our movement, even gurus have changed ashram. Gurus, sannyasis have changed, and gurus had stopped being gurus, and that is much more devastating, correct? So then, the question that was asked to him was something similar, what you're asking. And so the question was asked, so then, if one guru, he leaves, then another guru, he leaves, then the faith is shattered, and then it becomes difficult to accept another one, and then we lose respect for the previous ones, and so on. So how do we deal with it? The example that he gave was this. It is a crude example, no doubt, but yet it is to make a point. So he said, just like if one is traveling from, say, Pune to Mumbai, one has taken a bus. So then you sat in the bus took you from Pune to Lonavala, say. And the bus broke down at Lonavala. So the bus broke down at Lonavala, then what do? So do you say that now the bus is broken, so what to do? We'll remain stranded at Lonavala, or we'll go back to Pune? Would you do that? No. What would you do? Yes, take another bus, and then you move ahead. And then you take another bus, and maybe the next bus goes up till Kalyan or something, and it breaks down there. And then it breaks down there. So then what do? Take another bus. But then the point is, the first bus brought you from Pune to Lonavala, right? The bus brought you some distance. Therefore, the benefit of that bus which brought you to Lonavala must not be neglected. That benefit that one has received must be taken into account. And then that broke down, so you took the next bus, and then you reach your destination finally, maybe by the third bus or the fourth bus or whatever. But every bus played its role in bringing you a certain distance. And so because one broke down, it doesn't mean that I stopped the process, or it doesn't mean I don't have faith in another bus. There are so many other buses which are functioning, and so I can take another bus. And then I take another bus, that will take me some distance. If we are fortunate, then the bus may take us to the final destination, or if not, maybe that also breaks down somewhere, but then that's not the end of the story. So we want to reach our goal, and so we understand the essential principle, and that is, as we have been reading yesterday also from Prabhupada's purports, and today also we are reading, and the essential principle of guidance from a devotee is something which is vital in our practices of devotional service. And so understanding that principle, so whoever is available for us, whom we have some faith and trust, and in whom we think he's competent to guide us, then we take guidance from such a devotee. And of course, it is not, when we take guidance from a devotee, it's not whole and soul. We always have the check and balance system of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And taking the whole three personalities into consideration, and then we go ahead. We take guidance, whatever is possible, and then we go ahead till whatever point it's possible, or if they're competent enough, they will take us to the final destination. So that's the process. As long as one is in good standing and properly connected to the parampara, then he has the divine potency. The potency is cut off when he stops following the instructions of the parampara. Right. The simple example Prabhupada gave, there are the electric sockets. So all the electric sockets, they will function as long as they are connected to the powerhouse. So as long as they're connected to the powerhouse, the electricity will flow. The moment the connection to the powerhouse is cut off, no more flow of electricity, no more potency. So same principle applies. So it is the potency of Krishna which is coming through the chain of disciplic succession. And as long as one is connected to that, what is the connection? The connection is following the instructions. That is the connection. I would like to refer to one verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Srila Prabhupada very clearly defines what is the meaning of Guru Kripa or Guru Prasad. You can open Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 19th chapter, verse number 152-53. You can check. Somebody got it? You got? Prabhupada in the purport is defining Guru Prasad. Yes, read it. Given the mic. Behind. Samarpan go. You can tell the exact number of the verse?
Yeah, this is Madhya Leela 19.152 purport.
Yeah, 52.
Second paragraph. The word Guru Prasad indicates that the spiritual master is very merciful in bestowing the boon of devotional service upon the disciple. That is the best possible gift the spiritual master has to offer. Those with a background of pious life are eligible to receive life's supreme benefit, and to bestow this benefit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead sends His representative to impart His mercy. Endowed with the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
See, read that. See, endowed with the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is Krishna's mercy. The personality is only the via medium. Go ahead.
Endowed with the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master distributes the mercy to those who are elevated and pious. Thus, the spiritual master trains his disciples to render devotional service unto Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Guru Kripa.
Yes, this is called Guru Kripa. The training which the Guru gives to the devotees, that is the mercy. So training means what? Training means the training how to follow instructions, how to follow the process of devotional service. That's the training. So when the training is given and then the devotees are inspired to practice devotional service, that's the real mercy of the Guru. And so as long as one is following the instructions properly, then the mercy flows. And then the person becomes eligible to distribute the mercy. And so when one is not properly following, then the mercy is cut off. And that's how then one doesn't become a proper carrier of the mercy of the Supreme Lords. And so therefore, then in that case, then we have to find another one who's a proper carrier of the mercy. But the essential principle of being in the association of devotees and taking guidance from devotees, that principle always applies. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, Pidamji.
This is just spiritual connection and regarding, and one got initiation, and he's properly connected to parampara, and something happened to Guru. So why it is said one should take reinitiation?
It's not said.
Sorry?
It's not necessary.
He may take Shiksha Guru, continue Shiksha.
Yes.
But
So,
reinitiation is...
yes, the GBC has made a very clear statement now regarding this. So there is no need for reinitiation, because once the connection to the parampara has been established by the bona fide Guru, there is no need of reinitiation. One can take Shiksha from any Guru. All right. Okay. Shri Baldev Prabhu.
This is about your answer. In that particular devotee who is inspiring us officially is suppose lost. So there are three levels. One is about his varnashram status. The second is his sadhaka status in bhakti, Bhagavad Dharma. And third is that whether he takes the difficulty as an option to become more Krishna conscious. So if the ashram status we are taking inspiration from that person. Obviously, he cannot be the inspiration because he is changing the ashram. Second thing is whether he takes the challenge and about his sadhana he is giving up. Then he cannot be inspiration for anything. And third is if he, with difficulty, if he takes Krishna consciousness most seriously, he can still continue as our Shiksha Guru. This I feel. Because where he is standing is very high. Although he may face because of reaction to offense or whatever, we don't know. But if he is going to increase his bhakti, he is a rightful Shiksha Guru, I feel.
Yeah, we can take inspiration from anyone who is properly practicing devotional service.
And second aspect that you mentioned that we have to find out somebody who is in good standing and we can take inspiration. But this is very objectionable term, right standing. Because I have seen some brahmachari who has done a big golmaal, illicit sex and all that. And still they sit on the Vyasasan and give brahmachari class. And management supports that. That's very amazing. Second thing, very big level, GBC level, Guru level, there are many scandals, many this is parallelly happening. So we go and take shelter. But who will tell us whose is what standing?
Yes, so that we have to consult other authorities.
But the authorities will not speak that because what is going on is so serious that even it cannot be exposed in between because nothing is confirmed, so many things are going on.
As long as things are not confirmed, obviously they cannot be told openly.
Yeah.
When things are confirmed, then they are told. That's the way the managerial structure of any institution works.
Yeah, but spiritual shelter again is questionable here.
Right.
Because
So-
we just keep trying. That's why the sadhaka gets some difficulty.
Yes, so therefore we have to understand that the challenges in the material world are always there, but yet the principle still remains. And so therefore we have to understand that we take shelter of devotees, but at the same time we have to understand that there are also stable shelters which never change. And so therefore we have to take strong, firm shelter of those stable shelters. From those stable shelters, all others are deriving inspiration. And so therefore, we also have to strongly connect ourselves to the stable shelters which never change. In any case, material life, whether in Krishna consciousness or out of Krishna consciousness, is always challenging. And so therefore, there is an English saying which says, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Think about it. Rashpatipur, you had something, and you, and then we'll proceed. Otherwise, we'll take another 1 year to finish this chapter.
Sorry, Guruji. This is regarding the answer which you gave to the question of Pitambar Chaitanya Prabhu, that if Diksha Guru, this is to clarify my understanding. We may not be facing it in our life currently, such things. Like if Diksha Guru leaves, you said GBC is now clearly stated that there is no need of re-initiation. So then, two questions. How is it different? Because now he doesn't have any Diksha Guru. So having a Diksha Guru has his own benefit, at least till the time the Diksha Guru is on the planet. And afterwards, the senior God brothers, they are there to correct us and guide us with the mood of Diksha Guru. When the Diksha Guru only leaves, how is it different from Ritvikism? First question. They are directly accepting Prabhupada as their Shiksha Guru and there is no one in between. And second thing, while worshipping the Archa, we are doing Aarti, what will he do? Will he directly worship Prabhupada or what will he do?
It is not equal to the Ritvik scenario because the GBC also highly recommends such devotees to take shelter of other Shiksha Gurus. The point is very clear. Yes. So it is not that one just has no accountability or one doesn't take shelter of anyone. It's not like that. The formal process of Diksha need not be taken again.
But Ritviks also have Shiksha Gurus in their own forum. They have Shiksha Gurus.
Okay, they could, but there is a basic difference in the philosophical understanding. Right? There's a basic difference, isn't it? So they don't accept anyone else. But then we are not saying that.
We can accept. If one wants, he can accept.
See, why are we just focusing on the formal process of Diksha?
Because that's where the difference of opinion is between Ritvik and ISKCON.
See, we are taking a situation where we are not saying that nobody need to accept Diksha. Are we saying that? We're not saying that. We are talking about a situation, or rather you are talking about a situation where one has already accepted Diksha.
Correct.
And then the Diksha Guru has either passed away from the world or has...
Passed away is different case, but he has stepped down.
Either case, whether he has passed away or he has gone away from the path.
Passed away, he still has connection through his Diksha Guru.
Okay, fine.
He has stepped down, he lost that connection to Diksha.
Okay, fine. In any case, it is necessary for one to accept Shiksha, isn't it?
Correct.
To take shelter of a living Guru.
Right.
That is the point. So the Diksha has been done and the connection to the Parampara has been done. And therefore there is no need for the formal process of Diksha again. But then the principle of accepting guidance and being accountable to a senior Vaishnava, that's essential. But that's not what they say. They say there's no need of Diksha at all from any other person other than Srila Prabhupada. So that's a major difference, isn't it? You understand the point?
Second question.
What's the saying?
About worship, what? They will directly go through Prabhupada for worship, while worshipping deities?
No, if he has already had a Diksha Guru, so...
Okay, but he has stepped down from his...
Okay, so that means he's fallen from the path.
Yeah.
Okay, if he's fallen from the path, then he can worship either the Shiksha Guru's photograph can be kept, or if that is also not necessary, then okay, directly Prabhupada. In either case, the worship is going on through the parampara. Right. If he's not Brahman initiated, that's what you're talking about. I've not heard this. I don't know. Okay, one last question on the point.
There is an example that I know one devotee in Bhubaneswar that he was planning to take the Diksha from Gaur Govind Maharaj. And that time only Gaur Govind Maharaj passed away. And he is still saying that I give my heart to my spiritual master. I am not taking any decision from anybody. And he is in well standing. He is there just like following the four Veds and chanting the holy name and many other things. And he is doing so many services. But like the local temple authorities are saying something that unless and until you are taking a Diksha, it is like they are saying him in a different perspective. So what exactly a stand?
Yes, the essential principle of accepting Diksha, formal Diksha, is essential, as Rupa Goswami has spoken in the 64 items of devotional service. So yes, it is essential. Right. Okay, fine. 34. Bhavyatyesh satvena lokan vai loka bhavanaha leelavatarun anurato devatiryan naradishu.
Thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the modes of pure goodness.
Okay, so this is the mercy of the Lord on the living entities, that he enters as the super soul, and he is also coming as the Leela Avataras in order to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. In the previous purport, Prabhupada gives a nice analogy towards the end, and he says that the sufferings and enjoyments of the sons are indirectly the sufferings and enjoyments of the father. Still, the father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and enjoyment of the sons. He is so kind that he constantly remains with the living being as Paramatma and always tries to convert the living being towards the real happiness. So that's the compassion of the Supreme Lord, and that's the reason why he is coming in these various incarnations to help the living entity come back to the spiritual worlds. And the same point Prabhupada is repeating in this purport also. And he writes, the Lord, in the second paragraph, the Lord wants the suffering living being to go back home, back to Godhead. The happiness which the living beings are hankering for is not to be found within any corner of the innumerable universes and material planets. The eternal happiness which the living being wants is obtainable in the kingdom of God. But the forgetful living beings, under the influence of the material modes, have no information of the kingdom of God. The Lord therefore comes to propagate the message of the kingdom of God, either personally as an incarnation, or through his bona fide representative as the good Son of God. Such incarnations or sons of God are not making propaganda for going back to Godhead only within the human society. Their work is also going on in all types of societies, amongst demigods and those other than human beings. So everywhere. That's in the Bhaktivedanta purport, so the first canto of second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Divinity and Divine Service.
Guruji, in this translation, why it is mentioned that to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness, like it is just limiting to one particular section only, it appears.
Of course, those, if you see the word to word, it is said sattvena, those are basically in the mode of goodness. So basically the mode of goodness and above are more conducive situations. So therefore, those? Yes, yes. Yes, but then that's the conducive situation, isn't it? That's the conducive situation to come to the platform of pure goodness.
But we do see that Lord delivers people.
Yes, ultimately everyone can be delivered by the mercy of the Lord, but then those who are in Sattvagun are more favorable. That's the point. Okay, fine. So we'll take a 5 minutes break and then continue with the third chapter. Is talking about the Vaibhav Prakash, the second is talking about the Prabhu Prakash. Yes, it's possible. There's no difference in the forms, but your different features, bodily colors. So bodily colors, then he's referring to Vaibhav Prakash also, I suppose. Balram has a different bodily color. So basically, I think so the next verse is basically talking about the Swayam Prakash in general. Yes, so Prabhu Prakash, it is, the Raslila falls under Prabhu Prakash. So you can see here. Yes, the Raslila and the Queen and Dwarka pastimes, that falls under Prabhu Prakash. And Balaram and Krishna, the son of Devaki with 2 arms, that falls under Vaibhav Prakash. Somebody can open the verse from the CC?
You can go with example as well as definition. Your definition, that example is not there.
This is 173. 172. See, he's speaking about the 16,000 queens and all that, so he's speaking about the Prabhu Prakash till verse number 170. Till 171 he's speaking about Dwarka and all that, so he's speaking about the Prabhu Prakash. And then 171, that's the first verse there, he speaks about the Vaibhav Prakash. If one form or feature is differently manifested according to different emotional features, it is called Vaibhav Prakash. And then 172, he's saying the next verse, and that is When the Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, there is no difference in the forms, but due to different features, bodily colors and weapons, the names are different. So it's still referring to the Vaibhav Prakash, I suppose, because same form but different color, like Balaram. So if you see the sequence of verses, then it seems to be the second verse is also referring to the Vaibhav Prakash.
Here, like Krishna at Dwarka, the expansion of 200 Krishna in Dwarka, that is under Prabhav Prakash, and the Krishna is the son of Devaki is in Vaibhav Prakash. How they are different? Like how one is in Prabhav and other is in Vaibhav?
So that's four-handed and this is two-handed.
No,
the son of Devaki.
But sometimes, as you quoted at Ki, sometimes he comes as 200 also. And
That's what
initially he came as
four-handed.
But later he manifested as 200 also. So that 200 is Prabhav then?
Yes, Mahaprabhu says that sometimes even to Devaki he manifests only with two arms. So sometimes he manifests only the two-armed form, not the four-armed form at all.
Yeah, so that will be under Prabhava Prakash?
Yes, so Vaibhav Prakash is the two-armed form and the four-armed form is Prabhav Prakash. That's what you see the example there, no?
The two-armed Krishna at Dwarka is under Prabhav Prakash according to the sheet which we have been given. It is mentioned expansion of the two-armed Krishna at Dwarka.
Yes, expansions of the two-armed Krishna at Dwarka, that is he expanded into those 16,018 forms.
They all had two arms only?
Yes, they all had two arms, yes.
So they are under Prabhav, but the same Krishna expanding in two arms forms in front of Devaki in Mathura, so they are coming under Vaibhav Prakash.
Yes. So if you ask a why to that question, I don't know.
Because according to definition it has to match.
Because if you read those verses, Mahaprabhu is just placing all these in different categories. He's not exactly explaining why.
Yeah,
all right, so definitely I understand your point. It appears to be a little confusing, but then I think so we just have to accept things like this as it is, because Mahaprabhu doesn't give a very clear explanation as to why exactly this is in this category. And so therefore, if you see initially, you see the note there, right in the beginning, they put a note and says some expansions of Krishna appear in more than one category and such overlapping is hard to show on the charts. Now, right in the beginning of this article. So yes, so there could be some overlapping and things like that. So just like he gives an example, among the Leela avatars, Kapil Dev and Rishabh Dev are also considered Avesha Rupas. So they are Leela avatars also, they are Avesha Rupas also. Lord Balaram is known as Vaibhav Prakash manifestation, but is also said to be a Vilasa form because he appears in the original Chaturvyuha. Okay, so you find all these sort of overlaps and all that. So it's hard to exactly answer a question as to why somebody is in this category and that category.
In the Chaturvyuha, Balaram doesn't come.
No, we are coming. Chaturvyuha, we have not yet come. Okay, so now, if you go to the Tadekatma Rupa, so then he speaks about Tadekatma Rupa. Read that.
When that body is a little differently manifested and its features are a little different in transcendental emotion and form, it is called Tadekatma.
Okay, so that's a basic definition. So the body is different, the features are different, both in terms of the features as well as in emotion and form. So then that is what is called as Tad Ekatma Rupa, that is a general definition. Under that there are two categories, that is Swamsha and Vilas. So under Swamsha, there are the various Leela avataras. Yes, under the Swamsha, there are the Purusha avataras, the Guna avataras, Manvantara avataras, Yuga avataras, and the Leela avataras. And then there is the Vilas, which are the pastime expansions. And under the pastime expansion, there is Prabha Vilas, which is the Chaturvyuha, and there is the Vaibhav Vilas, which are the 24 forms which expand from the initial Chaturvyuha. And so Vasudeva expands as Keshav, Narayan, Madhav, Adokshaja, Purushottama. Shankarshan expands as Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Upetra, Achyuta. Similarly, Pradyumna expands as Trivikram, Vamana, Sridhar, Narasimha, Janardhan. And Aniruddha expands as Rishikesh, Padmanabh, Damodar, Hari and Krishna. Of course, this Krishna is different from the original Krishna. So these are all these 24 expansions, and the different names are given according to the positions of the weapons in the four arms. Based upon that, then the different names are given, and all these forms are eternally present in the Vaikuntha planets.
Here in the Chaturveda, the name of Balram doesn't come, but the Sankarshan is Balram only?
Yes, so that's what they're referring to. Yes.
Prabhuji, one more question. In all this, where do we, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srimati Radharani, they will come under Swayam Rupa only?
Yes. Today, Loknath Maharaj was speaking in the morning. Yes, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Swayam Krishna. So his original form.
This Prabhav Vilas, Chaturvyuh is there.
Yeah.
Vaibhav Vilas also, that VSPA is already included. Vasudeva, Pradyum, Sankar, 24 expansions.
Yes, so there are expansions. So as we know, there's the first Chaturvyuha, then from the first Chaturvyuha, then there's Narayan, and from the Narayan, the second Chaturvyuha, and then from them, all these different expansions are there.
And exactly what is the difference between Prabhav Vilas and Vaibhav Prakash? Definition.
By definition, let's see, has he given any definitions? Okay, you read that.
When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called Vilas Vigrahas.
Okay, so that's the definition he's giving for Vilas, the entire Vilasa Vigraha, Vilas expansions. So that's the general definition. Numerous forms with different features as inconceivable potency.
And also, Prabhuji, Vaibhav Prakash, the definition if we have seen, they are different emotions and different forms. And Tadekatma Rupa also same definition, slightly he has given. What is, so both are like different forms and different emotions only.
So therefore, they ultimately all are different forms of the Supreme Lord. To exactly make a clear-cut differentiation, this, it's not black and white. It's very difficult to make a clear-cut differentiation. So some general understanding is being given of these various incarnations. Okay, so whatever is there, best is to simply accept, and that's all. This is Mahaprabhu's teachings, he's just explaining all this, and to make exactly a clear distinction, clear definitions, and all that is difficult. You'll always find an overlap, and that's why they made the note right in the beginning. They made the note that there's going to be an overlap, and so we have to understand that.
It's similar, just like it is for Krishna, similarly for Radharani expansions like a Lakshmi and same category they will also be for.
That has not been told. Though Chaitanya Charitamrita later explains that all the various queens and all the various Lakshmis, all of them are expansions of Srimati Radharani. But there is no exact categorization for them, as we find here.
Ruji, there Lila Avtaras 24 list are there Avtaras. So in the beginning there is a Kumar Avtara, the 4 Kumaras. Means how they are like equal to the Supreme Lord? There is also down like Krishna and Kalki, all these things are there. Balaram.
So, what's the problem?
The problem is, I'm how to understand. Is Chatush Kumar, the 4
and
Kumar.
you'll find, and just to make it a little more confusing, you'll find the Kumaras are also there in Avesh Rupa. You see Avesh Rupa down under Shakti Avesh. You saw that? Under Shakti Avesh, there are the Kumaras. They have the Jnana Shakti, empowered to distribute transcendental knowledge.
Jnana Shakti, correct.
Yes, so they are Shakti Avesh Avatar also. And they also come under Leela Avataras. And you see text 6, which we are just going to read, is about the 4 Kumaras. Correct? Yes, so basically because, now if you see here, in the purport of the 6th verse, Srila Prabhupada is writing that The Kumaras, as above mentioned, appear in the Kaumara creation of the material world, and to teach us the process of Brahman realization, they underwent a severe type of disciplinary action as bachelors. These Kumaras are empowered incarnations. And before executing the severe type of disciplinary actions, all of them became qualified Brahmanas. This example suggests that one must first acquire the qualifications of Brahmana, not simply by birth, but also by quality. And then one can undergo the process of Brahman realization. So you find that, yes, they are being described under the Leela avatars also, and they are being described under Shaktivesh avatars also, because ultimately these people are as good as expansions of the Supreme Lord, because they have been greatly empowered by the Lords. And they are also performing a specific Leela over here in this world to give knowledge to others. So why they have appeared? Because they have, that's the Leela of the Lord. The Lord wants them to come, they appear and give knowledge and all that. So therefore, both are correct. They are under Leela avatars also, because they are coming under the jurisdiction or under the according to the plan of the Lord. So that's a Leela of the Lord, and they are empowered by the Lord in the Jnana Shakti. Shaktivesh, when we speak of Shaktivesh, yes, then they are living entities who are divinely empowered. That's one of the reasons why we find all these differences, because in different creations, in different days of Brahma, there are all these differences, right? Therefore, we find all these various differences, because things don't happen in exactly the same way every time. In different days of Brahma, different creations, different things are happening.
Here it is written, some of them appear in the material world as temple deities.
Where are you reading from?
I mean in the Vilasa, Vaibhav Vilasa, under Vaibhav Vilasa it is written. Some of them appear in the material world as temple deities.
Yes, Archamurti. So the Archamurti forms are also considered to be Vaibhav Vilas.
All Archamurtis.
Yes, at least if you see, Mahaprabhu gives a list of some of those main deities, and he considers them as Vaibhav Vilas. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he gives examples of the Keshavji deity at Mathura, and then he gives example of the Anant Padmanabh deity at Kerala, Janardhan deity he calls it. So some prominent deities he puts under the category of this Vaibhav Vilas. Of course, ultimately, of course, all are Archa Vigraha, all are not different from the Lord, and but then he gives certain examples. So, of course, here he is putting Archamurti under Vaibhav Vilas, okay. But as examples, he gives prominent deities' names.
That's in Vrindavan, and just like all gopis are, it is said, the expansion of Srimati Radharani.
Right.
So this applies only gopis or all living entities like Nanda Baba, Yashoda Mai, all. And if they are expansion of Srimati Radharani, other gopis only, so if they are living entities, Nitya Mukta, as we consider Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha Jiv, who are eternal associates of Lord, they are Nitya Mukta. They will come to this category, or we should accept simply they are expansions of Srimati Radharani.
There are eternal associates of the Lord who are Ragatmika Bhaktas. Their places cannot be replaced by anyone else.
Not question of replacement.
And no jiva can ever take those places.
This also not question taking position. It is said Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha. Nitya Mukta means eternal associates of Lord, they are considered Nitya Mukta.
Correct.
That is the Ragatmika, what you say.
Okay.
So there is no question taking position or Swarup is fixed. So question is that the others associates like gopis, their expansions of Srimati Radharani. Radharani is Alladhani Shakti to give pleasure to Lord. She expanding many forms, non-different. So if we consider these are So we should not see as a living entity, Nitya Mukta living entity.
So, therefore, the Nectar of Devotion is explaining how the gopis are of different categories. So, there are some who are Nitya Mukta, who are always in the liberated position, and there are some who are jivas who take the positions of gopis. Yes, and some of them are the rishis at Dandakaranya who became gopis. So, there are all these different categories.
Some are expansion, we can say. That.
Yes,
Srimati Radha.
yes.
This applies only gopis, not other devotees.
Like
Gopas.
even in the other rasas, like Nanda Maharaj.
Yeah.
Nanda Maharaj is eternal associates.
Yes.
And so nobody else can become Nanda Maharaj.
Because once I heard Maharaj telling, whatever love every living entity has, this is love of Srimati Radharani bestowed in the living entities. Ya Ladani Sakti, Sarup Sakti gives love. Particle of love, small. Every living entity has. So whether this applies to a resident of spiritual world also, because she is giving Allah, means pleasure to the Lord. This means for.
Yes.
This is non-different from Krishna only.
Yes.
So whether others also we can consider there is expansion or not.
So that's what we said, no? All are not expansions. So some are expansions, some are jivas who became perfected and they became gopis, or even in other rasas also the same thing applies. So some are eternal associates, nobody takes their position, and some are jivas who can become associates of those eternal associates. So a jiva can take the place of somebody assisting Nanda Maharaj. There are so many gopas who are also assisting Nanda Maharaj. So there could be jivas who can take their positions, or who can play those roles, who can... So what's the question?
Who are all there, already there, not some jiva goes and takes Sarupa, that is different thing. Who are already existing, and they are in Sarup Siddha, they are Ragatmika devotee. So this is said, gopis only, they are expansion of Krishna, Srimati Radharani. Yeah, Lakshmis are expansion of Srimati Radharani.
Right.
All Lakshmis. Just like
yes, all Lakshmis are expansions of Srimati Radharani.
This applies Krishna. All Vishnu, all incarnation coming from Krishna.
Yes.
Similarly, Radha, all Lakshmis.
Yes, all Lakshmis.
Whatever Vilas, Vaibhav Prakash, whatever you want to
there's no such classification, but all Lakshmis, all Gopis, all are expansions of Srimati Radharani.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But this not apply for other, just Gopal, this not apply, doesn't apply.
No, they are not expansions of Radharani. Right, so then they will fall under these categories here. As far as the Gopas are concerned and the cowherd men, then they will fall under these different categories. Okay. Yes. That even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that all those are expansions of Srimati Radharani. Huh? Yes, so the gopis are of different categories. Now all categories are there. So some are Nitya Siddha and some are jivas who take on the positions. Okay. And then there is the Avesh Rupa. There's basically three categories. There is Bhagavat Avesh, Shakti Avesh, and the Vibhutis. So Bhagavat Avesh, basically two examples are given, Kapil Dev and Rishabh Dev. And under Shakti Avesh, there are the seven foremost examples given, and then there are the Vibhutis, which are the various opulences which Krishna mentions in the 10th chapter of the Gita. So in this way, there is the classification of these various incarnations. Okay, a quote from Srila Prabhupada, please read this.
We are therefore restricting not to worship any other. Therefore, when I started this mission, many friends advised me, why don't you make it God consciousness? This is bogus. God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, they will put so many gods. Here is another God, here is another God, here is another incarnation, here is another avatar. all nonsense, place actual who is God, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So try to understand our mission.
Okay, so now we'll go through these verses now of these various avatars here. Text 6. स एव प्रथमं देव कौमारं सर्गमाश्रितः चचार दुश्चरं ब्रह्म ब्रह्मचर्यम् अखण्डितम्. Read the translation, please.
First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the four unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who being situated in vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth.
7. द्वितीयं तु भवायास्य रसातलगतां महिम् उदहरिष्यन् उपदत्त यज्ञेश सौकरं वपु.
The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation, and for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe.
तृतीयं ऋषिसर्गं वै देवर्षित्वम् उपेत्य सः तन्त्रं सात्वतम् आचष्ट नैष्कर्म्यं कर्मणां यथा.
In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Devarishi Narad, who is great sage among the demigods. He collected exposition of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action.
तुर्ये धर्मकला सर्गे